really great to see all this, all your villages and urban areas, rural areas yesterday. Actually, it's obvious that we have a lot to learn from your own experiences, from your own practical work. Because, you know, in research we always produce knowledge, but it really makes sense when it actually is incorporated with what we learn from the practice. So it's always good to have these workshops where we can speak from each other's experiences, but also to share knowledge. Because, for instance, in CLIC we have produced certain knowledge, we have produced certain innovative tools, but it will only make sense if you try them out, if it makes sense for you, if it's applicable for your own cases, for your own practices. So it's always good to exchange this knowledge, and that's why we have these workshops, actually. So I've already introduced myself. My name is Denise, and as the Eindhoven University of Technology, we are organizing this historic urban landscape workshops in all the pilot cities that we have been encountered with this CLIC project. We have already completed 3 of the 5 historic urban landscape workshops that we have planned. The first 3 of them, they were in Amsterdam, in Salerno and Rijeka. They had a different purpose than what we have today. They were about building knowledge and development of tools. And in these 3 workshops, we mostly talked about, you know, what are the challenges that you encounter when you're implementing certain practices, adaptive reuse practices in your local context. And we talked about what kind of solutions that can be come out of it. So the purpose of these first 3 workshops have been about building knowledge. But this one is a bit different from that because we are now in this like the second half of the CLIC project, and we have already produced certain innovative circular tools for business models, for financial models, for governance models. And I mean, we would like actually be introducing you a certain toolkit which actually at local level that you can benefit from, that you can use if it's sensible for you. And that's what we're going to discuss here today mainly. So it has a different context than what we had done in the previous 3 HR workshops. So first, briefly, we'll have a short section on the evaluation of the challenges, barriers that you have identified in the first HIP meeting. Ruba partially mentioned those. They are also listed on your tables. You know, there's this A3 page. At one side you have the list of barriers, and at the other side you have the list of tools. I'm very briefly going to go over them, but just in case that you forget and need kind of a definition, it's out there available for you. And for this barrier evaluation, actually we are going to have an online survey. And there, we would like to ask you, you know, do you think that it's still a problem for you, it's still a challenge for you? And at what level do you think we should cope with them, we should tackle them? At the local level, at the more general regional level, at national level? Because, you know, some things related with regulations, legislation, they have to be tackled at more national level. So we would like to see that as the first part. And in the second part, we are going to talk about these tools and, you know, the circular models, and we are going to see, you know, we are going to help you create kind of a toolkit for you that you can bring home back with you guys, that you can use. We also have the experts who develop these tools here available, so the discussions will be also benefit from this. I mean, if you have any ideas that you can use, we can always interact these discussions. And then we'll do the sharing up and wrap up. So it's going to be 1.5 hour workshop in total, let's say. But let me very briefly talk to you about, okay, so we always say historic urban landscape, but what is that? Very briefly, I would like to introduce you to this concept, because, you know, we had a very brief discussion about what is culture, what is nature, how we can combine them. Well, historic urban landscape does that. We have the tool, let's say. So it goes beyond the limited definition of a historic center, city center, like historic building, monument. It goes beyond that, and it actually has a very integrated and holistic approach that integrates all the tangible and intangible heritage attributes, the culture, the nature, the seascape, all the topographic and underground like assets available, as well as the social, the cultural, and the economic factors. So it has a very integrated approach. So, you know, when we are talking about Gustav Forsch, sorry for my pronunciation of the name.
Perfect.
Gustav Forsch, so we cannot only talk about the mill itself or the brook, but you know, we have the nature, the water, also the people engaging, the shops, these small economic activities. They are all part of this bigger framework, this bigger approach, and that has been actually developed and identified by UNESCO and with many different professionals and experts. And so there has been a recommendation that was adapted back in 2011, and actually within this policy guideline, they say, that they define certain the approach and how it can be implemented at local level, and they also propose a toolkit. But it's never enough if it's not like feasible enough at the practical level. That if it's not operationalized at local level, then it doesn't make sense at all. And that's what we want to do here today. You know, because you know UNESCO and like the experts, they always make some certain charters, policies, but the practice has to be fed with it. I mean, the practice should actually feed these policy documents, its implementation, so that otherwise it doesn't make any sense. But what is this recommendation about is that it integrates policies and practices of conservation and like heritage into the wider framework of sustainable development, which we have been talking so far here. You know, it's very important also to have a bigger regional development here in a sustainable way, and this might be kind of the tool for that. This approach has been implemented in many cities around the world and still continue. Several also tools have been developed from here. But basically, the recommendation has provided like 4 different categories of tools. And actually this innovative circular tool that we developed as part of CLIC, they can be also categorized within these 4 different like categories, let's say. So one of them is about civic engagement, inclusion of all the relevant stakeholders. So it's not only the administrations or like the developers or the people with the money, but it also has to engage the NGOs, the local communities, the cooperatives, all the other relevant stakeholders into the account. And what are the tools to do that? Knowledge and planning tools actually include, you know, the mappings that Ruba has showed you. It's a very innovative tool actually. But also all these like the mappings and also the planning tools that have been used at local levels, the zoning plans, the land use plans, they all go into that. Regulatory systems, well, the legislation that you have seen are also quite important because without, I mean, since, for instance, in Finger Forsch yesterday that we talked about the toxic removal and that there's this legislation which actually handicaps most of the actions going there. So how it can be more adapted and coped with. That's also something important. Can it be changed at a more national level, for instance? Or financial tools, of course, which is quite important for us, the business models, the financial models. So I'm going to introduce you very briefly the tools, some of the tools that, as CLIC partners, that we have produced. They're also available here, and also I'm going to tell you among which one of us have contributed to the development of the tool. So if you have any questions, if you think that it will be useful for you, please find that partner and talk to them directly. That's why we have these discussions. So one of the first ideas for civic engagement has been the call for ideas for adaptive reuse. So this is, you know, in Force Week yesterday, there was a discussion that they have restored several industrial buildings, but the use for it hasn't been defined yet. So there is a like a limitation there. So there are these existing like industrial buildings which have been restored, but it's not properly used. So there is a need for identifying a use for this building. So this call for ideas might be a really good tool to maybe find some temporary uses or maybe some more permanent uses for buildings that are unused at the moment. So this idea is also, I mean, has been implemented in certain other cities. In Paris, for instance. Okay, Paris is Paris. They have all the kind of money in there. They like put in millions of euros in it, and that they had 50 million. I think it was 150 million euros that they opened this open call, and that people could contribute with ideas of different skills, and they worked with different partners to make it really applicable. And there are very interesting projects that came up with, but of course they have a very big budget and the capacity to do that. But what we can do is also we can have it implemented at a more micro level, at a local level, but I think it might be an interesting thing to also engage people and also different communities in finding a good, proper use. It doesn't have to be the responsibility of the owner or the municipality, so people and other actors can also contribute in finding good users. The decision support system are actually Simona, our colleagues from University of Portsmouth have developed it, so she might give you more information about it, but it's about to support the decision-making processes. So when we are giving certain decisions with different actors, you know, how to involve everyone and how to come up with the right and inclusive right decisions in an inclusive manner, including all these different stakeholders. So it's also important when you have a problem, like in fingers force, you know, how to bring all these people together. She's the go-to person for that. Business canvases, actually, our colleagues from there. They've already talked to you about it. We are going to have like business model workshops in all these 3 different cities that we have. We are also going to have one in March for Västra, Götaland. They can give you more information about it. But the thing is to build kind of a business canvas for different levels. So they are your go-to persons for this tool. Environmental circular mapping. Jane is our go-to woman. So you know, we mentioned this toxic removal problem, also the availability of certain like environmental concerns. So environmental sustainability has come up as a thing that you would like to address yesterday. So I mean, to provide a kind of a mapping of all the environmental aspects and actually to see how it has changes before the adaptive reuse practice and after. This tool can be helpful for you. She's here to give you more information. Impact assessment. So yesterday, you know, we also talked, you know, what kind of for instance, in Ubaru, we talked, you know, what kind of a social impact this, the integration, the coming of all these artistic people into this village. You know, what kind of a social impact does it have? How you can enhance it? If it's a problem that you think you want to tackle, then our colleagues from Iris, Antonia is there, can provide you assistance with that. Perception mapping, Ruba has already given a lot of information about it, but we've already done so much on it, so I'm skipping it. Local strategic partnerships. So it's kind of like, I mean, building a partnership with multi-actors based on a protocol, kind of a, so that everybody would know their like their responsibilities, their duties. They are put on a more legal framework. So this tool can be also helpful when you don't know who will contribute how much and like how things will be operated. So it's an important tool for this kind of partnerships. Network analysis. Our colleagues from Warsaw, this is not their image, it's my image, but you know. Like it's a network analysis, you know, what actors are participating. If you want to see, for instance, for Västra, it might be useful because you have all these different actors with you, all this, the civil society, the local municipalities, many different regional actors. So to, you know, map who is who and to have a better idea, this network analysis can be useful for you. So maybe for our colleagues from the region, it might be a useful tool for you. And our colleagues from Warsaw and also Portsmouth might help you with it. Business improvement districts, actually I think it has been discussed in one of the HIP meetings in Gothenburg because it's an example that you drive yourselves at a regional level. It's an image from, I think it was implemented in class, okay I cannot pronounce it, but it's basically about a public-private partnership, but where the entrepreneurs or the people with the commercial interests, or let's say the commercial owners and the property owners, come together and reach a consensus and work based on a shared like goal, let's say. So this kind of improvement model is also quite important for governance. So I think our colleagues from Uppsala University will give you more information about it. But I think it's also quite important. For instance, if you don't want only the commercial companies to come in and gentrify the whole area and just leave, I think it was discussed for your region. So you mentioned, that there were certain private, very rich actors, but then also there are certain buildings that are used for public purposes. How to make a kind of a combination and integration. I think it might be an interesting, useful tool for you. And our colleagues from Uppsala University might also help you to talk more into it. I think we can have a discussion about it as well, both for this workshop and in the pre-review. Crowdfunding, I think everybody has a general idea about it, but it's basically bringing up money from a bottom-up approach. Having a certain goal and bringing in money. It's again a financial tool that might be useful at certain contexts if you have many different communities interested for a certain goal, but you don't have a major investor, so it might be a kind of a useful tool. And then Urban Heritage Development Fund, our colleague from UCL, she mentioned the investment, the impact investments, impact funding. So it's in the case, where there's, for instance, the municipal, we talked in Singapore yesterday that you want to build a shareholder company with limited, minor, sorry, I don't know the economic terms, but with limited shares, and the municipality can come in as a minor shareholder. So for this, it might be for the interest of the municipality, you can bring it up, decided this investment fund, in the sense that they can also participate, but as in a more minor shareholder role. So these are basically some of the tools, the circular tools that we have developed within Click project, but also you came up with very interesting practices yourself. For instance, this shareholder company, which was a very interesting tool that we would like to add more into our also knowledge and share it with the rest of the European community, let's say. So thank you for sharing them. Now my colleague Nada is going to give you more information about what we are going to do next with what you have here. But I think these discussions will be helpful in a very mutual way. We'll learn a lot from your experiences, and we have certain knowledge that we can share with you. So please have an open discussion as much as you like, and we're always here to help.
Thank you. Thank you. Basically now we have the only moment on the workshop where we ask you to use your phone or connected device. Because we are going to have a moment.
Can we close the window for just a few minutes?
That's the menu, and Dennis already introduced it, so I risk it. We are going to have a survey, so each of us is going to answer a few questions as just a very quick questionnaire. And thank you for to the local stakeholders to provide us with the barriers that you encounter. Now what we ask you, you will find them listed, and what we're asking you is, does it still apply? Well, we really hope to see a lot of no, but reality is going another way. And to which level you think it's the best for solve this barrier? Because you might think, that's something we can do at the local level. This one maybe needs to be tackled in a more integrated and broader level. The region needs to step in for that. or maybe all of these levels, the local level, the regional level, the national level, even the supranationals, Europe, the world, can collaborate because it's such a huge barrier that needs several efforts going on all together at different scales, for instance. You have on the tables a brief explanation of the barriers, because on the questionnaire you might have a very small title that might not bring any value to you. And you can also scroll on your phones, and in the bottom of the window you also find the same explanation that you have on the table. So you have both the tools, the paper-based and the digital one. To connect to the survey, you need either to scan the QR code. If you're a geek, you have an app for that. Or if you are more less geek, let's say so, you just need to use the address that you can find on the piece of paper here.
I only have this first reaction to the survey, but I also that
There's also Wi-Fi internet here, you can
and you're asking if the barrier is still valid. It's like,
But some of them codes are being. Yeah, sorry, some of them, we keep the same format for all barriers to make it simple.
But I really don't think elderly population should be diagnosed as a barrier at all.
That was
The aging of society, or maybe health problems of the community.
It might always be that's the thing with challenges. There can always be an opportunity, a potential, but also a challenge to be tackled and covered with. Yeah. So
you find a bit more details on the bottom that decline better the title.
Here. But that's the first one. Denise, what do you mean with elderly population?
that was actually what we used as the barriers were within the HIP one. So these were things that also came from stakeholders. We didn't invent them, but there was this mention of the existence of the elderly population is sometimes seen as a barrier because that locals sometimes want to introduce the creative and the young populations to generate some kind of more action and activities and development within their region. And the existence of mostly the elderly people is seen kind of might be seen as a problem. So if you don't think that it's a problem, or please say no. So that's why we would like to actually evaluate your personal opinions and reflections on it. So that's why.
And you answer this individually?
Yeah, this is going to be individual,
Yeah.
but all the rest is going to be group work,
Yeah.
group discussions.
Oh, here. I'll just put it there in the middle, I'll put over your shoulder.
The barriers that have been identified earlier by
Here.
Yeah, so yesterday we had the whole, now we would also like your own reflections from yesterday, what you see so far.
just for Sweden case.
Just for Sweden, yeah. So answer it only for the Västra Götaland region, so consider the region and give answers accordingly. So it's not, we don't want your reflections from Savannah or Rijeka or Amsterdam. No. Also, you can do it for local. So if you think it's better as local, that's because that's what we say. We ask afterwards if it's a local problem or regional problem. Yeah, okay.
Denise, could you please put the address on
Exactly. For those who cannot log in, I have put it the it's not very readable.
I lost my but yes, no, I don't know, it's a little bit whatever.
Yeah.
So you're
Something called social dumping.
yeah. But degradation application,
You can just sit for your